And hello, everyone. It's another Friday. You know the drill. Before I start, I just want to thank everyone for taking their time and listening to my podcast. And I know, with you guys, data is a big is a struggle, but I would like to actually thank every one of y'all. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Okay, so the topic of today is very heated. Okay, so the way I see it, guys, we need to decipher religion and science. Our topic for today is science and religion, the way I see it. Okay, before I start, just know that this was written down, so I'm going to be reading this off a paper. And I'm going to sound just a little bit like a robot, just a little bit. I hope it doesn't annoy y'all. Either way, let's get into it. I personally think there's a big gap between science and religion, particularly on creation and the world as a whole. Looking at how creation took place and how scientists do not believe in God, also Christian thinking science is the way of the devil. It's like we are two worlds fighting each other, but in actual fact, we are just the same. However, if you look into these both worlds, you'll find more similarities than differences. Before I explain any further, let me just say this. This is what I know and believe in so far. With that being said, let us look at creation and how it came about for both these worlds. According to religion, there is a higher power or spiritual being called God. Science believes we are simply matter, small particles put together to make a whole. And there is no God, it's simply just nature. These both worlds, however, believe before creation there was darkness. And God out of nowhere created day and night, separated land and water, and so forth. If you read the Bible, you'll know this was done on consecutive days in that manner. Science says a bacteria came about and something sparked and a chain of events followed on how life came to exist. Nothing too specific, one day nothingness, and the next thing you know, boom, life. I am both Christian and a scientist of sorts, so you already know this talk is gonna be biased towards religion. Akekho umuntu onenkani njengomuntu weBhayibheli nomuntu wenkolo. I am 100% proof of that. We all know in order to call it science, stuff needs to be documented down so that we can see the growth. We also know of scientific archives, but stuff is bound to be lost and there is a gap of knowledge within science itself. Some things are just called nature and some things are lost through time. Question is what it is that is really researched here and who is behind it all. What if the bacteria in science is the miracle no one will ever understand but God? Do you follow? Let us remember that the Bible tells us that God created us and gave us free will. So it is our free will as humans, in this case scientists, to choose not to believe. Another thing I thought of that totally makes sense to me is how God keeps resetting the world and how science says the world keeps resetting itself. Now let's look at this. God keeps resetting the world. How? You must remember the story of Noah and the rain and the floods. And just recently science has found a boat-like shaped object that could be Noah's Ark. We see resets in science as well, stone-aged people, dinosaurs, and how they ceased to exist. Science says a big asteroid came down and wiped the earth of its habitat, but science does not tell us how life continued after that. Were some parts of the world left unburned? How did life begin after this asteroid? The Bible does tell us though, we are descendants of Noah. The point I'm also trying to bring home is evolution. As these worlds, we can at least agree on that. There were slaves before because there was a lot of work that needed labor simply because there were no machines. People doing actual hard hand work, literally. Eventually, machines came about, hence the rate of unemployment now. So, my question for you today is, are you a true Christian believer? Are you a true believer in Christ, or a hardcore scientist, or a bit of both like me. So, without anything else to say, I would like to say that this podcast has come to an end. I know it was very short, but I think the shorter it is, the more of you guys actually listen and me talking sense instead of just rambling about stuff and you just get lost in the idea. Anyways, don't forget to tell your friends, to tell their friends, to tell their friends until they tell my friends, Uguti, there's a new kid on the block. And please, guys, subscribe and like. I appreciate the subscribers that I've gotten so far and the likes that I've gotten so far. Ciao.